Hi, welcome back to another episode of Cooks and Books. I'm Levi Spurgeon and I'm your host for today. I'm a 10-year 4-H member and now I'm currently at Purdue studying agricultural education. Today, I'll be showing you how to make a really basic salsa recipe that all of your family can enjoy this Corona season. Okay, for this recipe, you'll need 2 tomatoes, a 1/4 cup of cilantro, 3 jalapenos, half an onion, a lime, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna start off by rinsing off all of our ingredients, just so that we get all of like the fertilizer and other people from the store's handprints off of the food. So the materials we're gonna be using today is this cutting board. We're gonna use this kind of knife, which doesn't have any serrated edges. Gonna use this little spoon, this serrated knife, and this mixing spoon and a mixing bowl. Gonna start off with the cilantro, and for that we can just use the flat spoon. And we're gonna take it off of the stem, and to do that you just grab the stem and you're just gonna pull it off. The stem's like bitter. Now that we have the cilantro off the stems, I'm gonna show you how I cut cilantro. I'm not sure if this is the correct way or not, but this is what I do. So you're gonna put your cilantro in a little pile, like this. Then you're gonna take your palm like this and wrap it around there. And then you're just gonna bring your palm back. You're just gonna cut the cilantro into little pieces like that. So now we have the cilantro in approximately quarter-sized pieces. So my sister just shared that we can use this handle as a funnel to put in our veggies. So I'm gonna put the cup right underneath there. Then I'm gonna take my knife. I'm gonna funnel it in to the cup like this. Now, we got relatively close to a 1/4 of a cup. And with baking, it's really essential that you top off all of your measurements and they're really precise. With cooking, it's not, or with making things like salsa and putting things on the frying pan, things like that, it's not as essential to get all of your measurements completely precise because there's not exactly a chemical change, it's more of just a physical look change. So we're gonna say that that's a 1/4 of a cup of cilantro. Okay, so now we're gonna be chopping the tomatoes. For tomatoes, I like a serrated knife so then the tomato doesn't slip because it's a really slippery fruit, vegetable, whatever you wanna call it. And so it kind of slips out of your fingers really easily. So what we're gonna do first, see tomatoes have 2 kind of nasty spots. They have the stem and then they have this area down here. So we're just gonna cut that off, but we're not gonna discard it because it has all of this flesh around there that we can still use. And then I'm gonna cut off the bottom too. Okay, then I'm gonna cut it in slices first. So to do this, you're just gonna cut every like half or quarter of an inch. And then it's really kind of tricky when you get back to your last kind of slices, but that's when you just gotta manhandle it a little bit. So then you can cut like 1 or 2 slices at a time, but if you try to cut more than that, then the tomato is just gonna go all over the place and we don't want to do that. So you're gonna cut into strips about 1/4 of an inch because we're gonna cube these. So we're going to cube these tomatoes. So we're gonna go 1/4 of an inch slicing this way. Then we're gonna cut it into 1/4 inch strips. And then we're gonna cut into 1/4 inch cubes. So we got 3 cuts. And then to do the end, I'm just gonna kind of try to cut 1/4 inch strips on both sides of the tomato. And then I'm gonna cut 1/4 inch strips on this side of the tomato. As you can see, sometimes the tomatoes are really juicy, so you need to rinse off the cutting board after you cut tomatoes before you cut anything else. The next thing we're going to do is cut jalapenos. Now, when cutting jalapenos, it's important that you don't touch your face and you wash your hands before you leave the kitchen because jalapenos have chemicals in them that are really spicy and a skin irritant. And you may even need gloves if you have really sensitive skin. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the flat knife again, and then we're gonna cut the top off. Then we're gonna cut sideways. And then I'm gonna use the spoon, and I'm just gonna scoop out the inner flesh of it because the seed is what is the hottest part of the jalapeno. So we do not want that in our salsa. We want just like a sweet salsa. So scoop out your jalapeno and then set your ready to cut jalapeno slices off to the side. Okay, so now I've discarded all of the trash from the jalapeno. So I discarded the top and I discarded the inner flesh which had the seed. So it's hollow. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of press down on it like this. And then we're again just gonna cut every like 1/4 inch or so. And then we're gonna cut 1/4 inches again. Again, make sure when you're cutting that you have a parent's permission or let your parents do this part because the knife is sharp and it puts your fingers in some really vulnerable places. So the last ingredient we need to cut up is this onion. So the first thing we need to do is peel the onion because the onion has this really nasty coating on it. And so you're gonna peel this really thin layer off. And then you're gonna peel a few layers into the inside off. So now I have the outside layer and the first inside layer off of the onion. So again, we're gonna cut both ends off the onion. And then we only need half this onion. So we'll cut halfway in the middle and we'll save the other half for later. And then what I do is I cut almost all the way into the onion, or sometimes you cut all the way through, but cut almost all the way into the onion. And then spin it around again. So we're just gonna make like these little cubes. And then we're gonna hold the onion like this, and we're gonna make sure to keep our fingers far away from the knife. And then when you cut on the outside of the onion, you have all of these nice little cubes that just fall off. Okay, we're now ready to mix up our salsa ingredients. So, the first thing we're gonna do is add tomatoes. We can just scoop those out with our spoon. Then we're gonna add our onion. And then our jalapeno. And then our cilantro. And then we're gonna give that a good mix. Now, the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to add the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And what salt does to fruit and vegetables is it draws out the liquid of the vegetable. So this is gonna make our salsa a little bit more liquidy and a little bit more, less crunchy. So we're just gonna give that a nice mix to make sure it's fully incorporated. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a lime. So to do this, we're going to use our juicer. So we're gonna cut the lime in half. Then we're gonna open up the juicer. Then we're gonna put the lime on top of the juicer like this, so it makes a circle. Then we're gonna take this, and you might have to hold it down a little bit. And we're gonna squeeze the lime so then it's like inverted into thing, and we get all of the juice out. And what this does is it adds a little bit of sweetness to the salsa, makes it taste fresher, makes the ingredients last longer. So we're just gonna give our limes a really good squeeze. And if you don't have a juicer at home, you can just kind of use your fingers, but you won't get as much juice out of the lime. So this juicer is just a really efficient way, and it just turns the skin of the lime inside out and squeezes out all of the juice. So we're gonna mix that all together. This is a pretty basic salsa recipe. If you get bored of this after making it so many times with your family during the coronavirus season, you can change it up by adding some like corn or pineapple or any fruit really. But now we're ready to taste. Thank you for joining us. I also want to give a special thanks to my sister for filming this. She's also a 10-year 4-H member and currently at Purdue.